I'd like to start with asking our panelists, could you provide an overview of the executive job search climate currently and what you're seeing based on the data that you do have through talent and your insights? Oh, Fatiha, I think you're on mute.
Apologies. I didn't even realize I put myself on mute. Yes, thank you. One of the key trends that we're seeing at the moment is definitely an increase of hiring activity. Hiring activity as well as promotions, which really suggests and indicates that there is a very healthy growth in terms of industry across industries. But in particular, the industries that we're seeing the most growth is in wealth and asset management, technology, insurance. Those are the key ones that we're seeing continued steady growth. And we're seeing around the 10% increase from last year, which really suggests that there is some steady growth. It's not a huge growth, but there certainly is some kind of indications of good growth here.
Great. Yeah, I mean, that's really great to see what industries are growing. Are you seeing any challenges in certain areas like gender or things like that as well?
Yeah, with gender diversity, it's a continued challenge. But however, we are seeing a lot of industries do try to kind of address these challenges across gender diversity, etc. But it is still quite a challenging one, and it still remains a top of the agenda of most industry and senior moves, in particularly.
Great, thanks, Fatiha. One of the questions that's coming in through the Q&A, but also I think a question that's top of mind for a lot of our members is really how can talent assist BlueSteps members in improving their career trajectory? So if you guys could walk us through, how they can use talent and how that can help them, that would be great.
Well, I'll take that one, Kulsum. So Fatir mentioned earlier on that we recently announced a partnership with BlueSteps, and let me tell you why that makes sense. So we think it's a really complementary relationship because BlueSteps provides the platform and the network for the users and our audience here. And what talent aims to do is then to equip you with the tools and insights that you need to navigate the executive job market more efficiently and effectively. BlueSteps members, you're all focused on strengthening your leadership and expanding your network. And with this emphasis that BlueSteps plays on networking and connecting with recruiters, our vast database, as I mentioned, sourced from over 150,000 different sources, can really provide you in a streamlined way with the insights that you need to gain that competitive edge. We're living in an increasingly fast-paced business landscape, so having those real-time insights into executive movements can be really crucial. It can give you a competitive edge. It can help you with precision targeting of companies or industries that you may want to develop your career into. It can help with relationship continuity. When we all know, I think all of us are executives, we all know that when our own key contacts at client firms move, it can really disrupt ongoing projects or negotiations or relationships that we have. So to be able to spot those opportunities before they're on somebody else's radar is a really valuable asset to have.
Yeah, I think that's a great explanation. Just thinking about the BlueSteps dashboard and some of the insights, for me, it's really interesting to see the moves in articles, especially if you want to keep on track of the industry that you're in, potentially even competitors or former coworkers and where they've moved, and seeing those kind of insights is really valuable as part of your career trajectory. So I do recommend everyone use it as part of their BlueSteps dashboard. We'd like to move into a poll question for our audience. So Bailey, if you could bring up our poll, we'd like to gauge from the audience if any of you are currently using executive job market intel to improve your career strategy. So everyone will see a poll pop up. If you could take a few seconds there to answer those options, which are yes, I keep up to date with latest news information. I try to, but I could use some more support. And lastly, I don't keep up with the executive job market intel. So I'll let this poll run for a few seconds so we can see what everyone is or is not using as part of their career trajectory for job intel. And just while the poll is running, I'll remind everybody that you can post Q&A questions to our panelists as well. So Bailey, if we could see the results of our poll here. Interesting. So most people selected that they try to, but they could use some more support. And then it's split between they do keep up to date or they do not. So I think Jubair and Fatiha, everyone's kind of in the boat of they try to keep up, but they could use some more support. So just some comments on what you think of our poll results there.
Sure. I think that's a common sentiment that we hear. The executive job market is vast and it's ever evolving, particularly post-pandemic and also with the new wave of technological evolution that we're seeing. So it makes it really challenging for each one of us to stay up to date and also perform our day jobs. You know, many of us, I'm sure, are executives in large organizations. So, you know, there is that balance and it's a constant struggle. And I think that's where precisely Coulson Talent can step in. Our platform is really designed to provide you with those real-time insights and curated news to ensure that you have the support and you need to stay ahead without the need to subscribe to multiple different platforms, subscriptions, review, you know, a dozen emails that come in. You can go into our platform if you want every day, or you can simply, as Fatia showed in the demo, go in, set up your alert saying, you know what, my world is the Americas, health tech, and I'm only interested in hires. And that's what you'll get every morning delivered to your inbox, captured from our kind of listening that we do across a vast array of public sources.
Great, thanks, Jubair. If we could talk a little bit about how candidates can leverage executive job market intel to discover new opportunities. And maybe you could talk us through how talent can help with that in trying to discover new opportunities and help with the job search process.
Yeah, certainly. I think it's quite an important part of your kind of career kind of action plan. And networking is very crucial in building connection, but not just connecting on LinkedIn, but having a reason to connect or understanding what's happening in particular industries to approach, understanding of information that is not readily advertised or shown on the internet. So building that network is really, really important. And I think talent can help by identifying those trends and identifying those movements to help you navigate around the industries. I think also with the trends analysis or just understanding what's industry changes or business areas that are growing, or it's really, really important to kind of make sure that you highlight your relevant skills, to highlight the relevancy of your skills to a specific position, and also kind of spotlight those skills in your cover letters, in your CVs. I think they a lot of HR do, your first impressions count, and I think your first page is really important to kind of highlight those skill sets and experience relevant to what's happening in the industries. And this is where talent can come in and help, and platforms like Talent that providing real-time data that are cutting out the noise and helping you really pinpoint what are the industry trends or insights that are happening to help you kind of carve out your career trajectory.
Great. Yeah, I think just to reiterate for the audience, right, you can use the Talent insights to look for new opportunities based on moves that you're seeing, industries where you're seeing. Is that correct to say, Fatiha and Jubair? And also keeping on top of those moves and industries where that you might see growth as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. So I'd like to switch into talking about some opportunities and challenges and trends that we're seeing in the executive job market. Based on the insights that you do have, what are the biggest executive job market trends that you think candidates should anticipate in 2024?
Sure. So I'll quickly touch upon some of the ones that I think are most relevant for our audience here. And the first one is probably one that we're all very familiar with. A post-pandemic world has really reshaped the world that we live in and the way that we work. Remote teams are more the norm rather than the exception. And what does that mean for us? It means that the market is even more competitive than it used to be. In my previous organization, our chief technology officer was based in Scotland. Our chief marketing officer was based in Atlanta, Georgia. And right up until the day I left, I'd never had the chance to meet them in person. So a very remote world that we live in terms of a very hybrid world that we live in. The second one's an important one around CEO appointments continue to dominate senior roles. And I think that hopefully that will be of interest to our audience here. Again, as we navigate this post-pandemic world, strong leadership is paramount. And actually the requirements for what a strong leader is have slightly shifted. Companies are really on the lookout for visionary CEOs who can steer the ship through uncharted waters and capitalize on new opportunities. And one of those opportunities is, as I mentioned, the new wave of technological progress that we're seeing with the advancements of generative AI. Let's not be mistaken. The next Googles, Apples, Amazons, and Facebooks of the world, I'm pretty sure, are being created right now. I saw a couple of studies recently that said around corporate longevity, and the data is a couple of years outdated, but they said of the Fortune 500 firms that were in the Fortune 500 in the late 1950s, only 12%, so just under 60 of them were still in that Fortune 500 in 2060. So if you make the parallel now in terms of what's in the S&P 500, the NASDAQ and other major stock exchanges, you can bet your bottom dollar that in probably 20, 21, 25 years, it's not going to be the same list of companies. So that's why I think having that kind of wide view and lens into the market is really important beyond kind of your day-to-day. And the final one I'll just touch upon is sustainability and ESG. I think we're all probably familiar with that one, how important it is, and it's not going to go away. Everybody is looking at how do organizations reflect their customers, their employees, and wider society.
Great, thank you. I think those are all really valuable points. If we could dive deep a little bit into, are there any specific industries or sectors that are expected to experience significant growth? I know you talked a little bit about that earlier. But if we could add to that, what industries are expected to see growth next year?
Yeah, certainly. I think if we look at the next slide, I believe, the next couple of slides. So this, just to reiterate what Jabaya said about in regards to CEO appointments, one trend that we have seen is a definite increase in CEO appointments. And I think what's interesting is the lateral movement of CEO appointments. So from industry to industry, as well as positions. So CTOs, for example, we're seeing more CTOs moving into CEOs positions, as well as CFOs. So there is definitely a need to be open-minded in terms of looking at other industries or looking at lateral movements, and building those networks and relationships help you identify those opportunities. Now, the specific industries that we are seeing growth and we've forecasted growth is technology, fintech, and software. They continue to grow, and I believe they will continue to grow even further. We did an analysis, a forecast analysis, just to kind of get a sentiment of what the forecast looks like for next year. And I believe that it will continue to grow. Renewable energy, healthcare, biotechnology are also really key topics to look out for. They're really experiencing high growth, especially post-pandemic. and also what's happening around the world in general. So with climate change, etc. So you can expect those, and I think everybody, I'm sure, are aware of this these trends that are happening. And these are the type of things that do affect hiring. So it's very important to keep up to date with the latest industry news as well as the movements, and kind of like make and get a clear signal of what could potentially happen or what could come around the corner. So wealth and asset management continues to grow, and I think is the most stable in terms of increase. Technology, insurance are new areas that we're experiencing growth and forecasting growth, but the sentiments are quite wide. So it's the confidence levels is probably lower. So the closer the confidence level, the more reliable the data. And we've done this year on year, and they've been pretty accurate just based on historical data.